us at pewaukeebooster@gmail.com. As I mentioned, here are our membership levels. There are 3 levels to choose from. We have Pirate Plus, Pirate, and Black and Red, and each come with their own little individual items. And like I said, you can sign up online, or they're taking memberships outside today as well. Again, concessions, it's really important that when you're in concessions, you take this role very seriously. You're going to learn more about your role for each sport from your team parent, and there's also some instructions within each concession stand. If you want to learn more, you can visit us at pkeboosterclub.com/concessions. And Spiritware, as I mentioned, this is a really important way that we raise money. We're going to have a back to school sale on August 25th from 8 to 5. And all of our newest inventory, we always roll out at the Spiritware sale in person, and then everything that's remaining goes on our website and that you can purchase here right in the school store. We have lots of new inventory, so be sure to come check it out. And thank you for your support.
We have a fantastic booster club. I've had the privilege of being involved in a few different school districts, and this booster club is second to none. They do a great job of supporting all of our athletics and our activities program. As Marika mentioned, we do have a fundraiser coming up in November. Please consider coming to that. Again, everything comes back to athletics and activities, and they just do a great job of supporting all of our kids. All right, so let's get into this. So why are you here? What is this meeting all about? So first thing, we want to make sure we take care of all the requirements so that everybody's ready to go for their fall sport on day 1 when practices begin. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're all Pirates. I'll say this later on in the presentation as well, but we're all on the same team. We're all Pirates. We're all moving in the same direction. So let's get everybody in the room and talk about the same type of stuff so everyone has the same information. Speaking of that, I would rather prevent fires than put them out. So if I can give you information up front here, hopefully that will save us some time down the road, maybe answer some of your questions that you might have before the season begins. And then, of course, to kick off this fall sports season. So let's talk about eligibility a little bit. I'm going to start with the big one, physicals. Okay? Yes, you have to have a physical to participate in athletics. A physical is good for 2 years. If your last physical was performed prior to April 1st, 2020, you are going to need a new physical. Okay? This is the big thing that we have to have. This is a non-negotiable. Next thing is online registration. So all of our registration processes are online. If you go to our website, go to activity registration, you can go through that process. In that process, there are forms where you and the parents and athletes, go ahead and electronically sign off on important documents that you need to agree to. In that process is the physical. So if you have your physical, you might think, well, wait a minute, how do I upload this into the online process? Simple. You take that smartphone that you have in your pocket, you take a picture of the physical form, email that picture to yourself. You now have it as a file. You can now go ahead in the online process, go ahead and upload that into the process. We get that. We can see it. It's also good to enter in the date. You enter in the date that the physical happened. That way, our school, our process will go ahead and automatically notify you when you need a physical the next year. And then there's the athletic fee. $50. So there's 3 main things. Because Mr. Sniff is in the audience today, and he is a former math teacher, I decided to break this down into a little bit of registration math. So online registration, including the physical plus the $50 athletic fee, equals cleared for practice. There is some confusion a little bit on the fee. So that you can't pay the fee in the online registration process. What happens is we get a notification when you go through and everything's done. We get a notification that says that you have completed the online process. Right now, Miss Allard then takes that and she manually enters in a $50 fee into your Skyward account, and that's where you pay your fee. Okay? All right, so that's registration. The next part of eligibility is our athletic code. Athletic code. So once you become a freshman, once you become engaged in an athletic activity or activity, club, organization, so on, you now fall under the athletic code. Athletic code violations are 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You are under the athletic code. So in the summer, we don't take the summers off. If there's a drinking party and someone gets an underage drinking ticket, that's an athletic code violation. Even though school's not going on, you still fall under the athletic code and still must adhere to that policy. I know all of you have already read the athletic code because that's one of the things that you electronically sign off on in the online registration process. So I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but I am going to highlight a few things that come up every year over and over. So I just, again, want to try to prevent fires, then put them out. So attendance at school. This is one of the big policies that comes up every year. You need to be present in school for all of your classes. That means if you're tardy, if you sleep in and you miss first hour, you miss first block, you cannot practice or play that night. If you have a game, can't play. If you have practice, can't practice. You need to be in attendance for all of your classes on that day that you have practice or a game. There are some exceptions, and those exceptions must be given permission prior to the participation. The next policy that comes up is transportation. You must ride school-provided transportation to an away contest. If your parent is at the contest and you want to ride home with your parent, no problem. We have an alternate transportation form. A lot of times coaches will bring extras with them in their med kit or whatever it is. You can also print them off. If you know that you're going to be doing this, you can print it off. It's on our website again. You can print that off ahead of time. You can only, an athlete can only ride home with their parent or guardian. That's it. You can't ride home with Johnny's parent or guardian. You can't ride home with your best friend who came to watch the game. You can't ride home with a neighbor who might be saying, I live right next door. Doesn't go. It's got to be a parent or guardian. Rule of thumb that we talk with the coaches is that the coaches should see the parent at the thing. That way a parent doesn't sign it ahead of time and say, here, give this to your coach, but you're really going to ride home with Johnny's mom. Okay? So our coaches do look out for that and say, hey, we need to be able to see your mom or your dad who you're riding home with. Now getting into some of the offenses. So our athletic code is broken down into minor offenses and major offenses. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this with you, but I do want you to make sure that I do want to make sure that you understand the difference between minor offenses and major offenses. Minor offenses, these accumulate only during the current school year. They don't carry over. Okay, they only accumulate during the school year. If you receive 2 minor offenses in the same school year, that will equal a major offense, which I'll get to in a second. As you can see, we have just some examples of what minor offenses might look like. Note at the bottom, if you're out, let's say TPing somebody's house, and might be innocent, no problem, but that person who got TP'd, if they don't like it and they press charge, they want a ticket assigned to that person. If a ticket is given, it now becomes a major offense. Okay? So speaking of major offenses, these are the big ones. Okay? So you're drinking tobacco, cigarettes, inhalants, all of those types of things. These are our major offenses. Again, you've all read this. You all know this already, so I'm not going to touch on all of it. What I do want to just point out real quickly is we do have a social media clause. Please make sure you read over the social media clause so you understand that. Again, I'm not going to go through all of it, but just make sure that you understand that there is a social media clause. For the major offenses, first offense is 30% of a season. Second offense, second violation is 50% of a season. And third violation is indefinite suspension. We do have the opportunity, if you have committed your first time offense and you stay clean, everything's good to go for a year, you can send me a letter in writing, a request in writing, that says, hey, I've been good for a year, no problem. Can you expunge my first offense? And then we'll look at that. But it's only for your first offense. Some important notes just to make sure you understand as well. If an athlete is suspended, this is a WIAA rule. If an athlete is suspended for any reason and that suspension carries over into the postseason, let's say you have a 5-game suspension and there are only 4 games left in the regular season. That 5th game includes the first regional game of your postseason. That means you're out for the entire postseason. Okay, you cannot play the entire postseason. Second thing to note is that if you commit a violation and you're suspended and you say, you know what, forget it, I'm out for 50% of a season, I'm not, and there's less than 50% of a season left in this season, I'm just going to quit and I'm just going to let it go and I'll start over the next one. That doesn't go. If you quit, it carries over into the next season that you participate in. So again, the athletic code and all of that information is on our website. It's in the registration process that you went through. If you are ever looking for other important information, you can check our main office, you can check our website, and the WIAA website has a lot of information for health-related materials, COVID materials, concussion materials, all of that type of stuff. Along with, if you're looking for a physical form and you just can't find it on our website, the WIAA also has it on their website. All right, we are about halfway through. So what I want you to do is I want you to stand up. Let's have everybody stand up. Go ahead. We're good to go. You're going to share with your partner again. This time, if you were an Olympian, what sport would you do? And you can't choose. If you're a girls volleyball player, you can't choose volleyball. You got to choose something else. The listening partner, you're going to go Dean Boxell again. Okay? Now listen. So if Ava Matz here tells me she wants to be a surfer, I'm going to say, yes, Ava, you got to be a surfer. All right. I don't think you're going to make it here in Pewaukee as a surfer, but all right. All right. So here we go. Share with a partner, what would you do if you were an Olympian? There we go. All right. All right, fantastic job. So just out of curiosity, were there any badminton players? Anybody badminton? All right, yes, Nate. All right, I would have chosen badminton too. I was a Phi Ed teacher though, badminton was my favorite unit, so just a little bias there. All right, so let's talk about this year. I'm hoping that we don't have to use any of these signals anymore. Okay, Dave Schill, I'm sure you guys were all versed on this as football officials, that these were the new signals last year, but hopefully we don't have to use these anymore. All right, so let's talk about COVID, because that's going to be obviously, people are going to have the most questions, most curiosity on what's happening. So this is our Pewaukee School District statement for face coverings and maskings. Basically, it's optional. Indoors, it's optional indoors. It's optional outdoors for students, staff, and visitors. If things become worse, if things start going in the wrong direction, the school board and the school district have reserved the right to make the status recommended. One thing to note, especially for athletics, regardless if the district is optional, recommended, whatever, it is a federal requirement that masks be worn on buses. Can't do anything about it. So you still have to bring a mask. Make it part of your practice bag or your game bag, whatever it is. When you're on a bus going into a away contest, you have to wear a mask on the bus. If that federal requirement goes away, we will fall in line with what our expectations are for indoors. The district requests the support of all parents to reinforce with students that individual family choices on the use of face coverings is to be respected. Harassment or bullying related to these choices will not be tolerated. Talking about quarantining. Right now, our guidelines state that we quarantine positive cases along with probable cases. A probable case is close contact with symptoms. We will still contact trace and send notification letters home to those who are determined as a close contact of a positive case. It will be up to that family whether they want, if they're not exhibiting symptoms, it's up to the family what they want to do. The quarantine period is 10 days, which must include 24 hours of being symptom-free. That 10-day quarantine period can be reduced to 7 days with a negative test on days 6 or 7, which means you can return to school and activity on day 8. Just note that household cases, household contacts is a little bit of a different story. It changes with household contacts who are not able to isolate from each other. As household contacts, your quarantine period, that 10 or 7 days, would start after the positive cases quarantine period has ended. So essentially, if you're a household contact, if you're an athlete right now sitting in here and your sibling has become positive or a parent has become positive, your quarantine period could be as much as 20 days. Okay? The exception to this is if you are able to fully isolate yourself from the positive case in your house, or you are vaccinated and don't have symptoms. However, throughout this process, if you actually test positive, then your quarantine would be the same 10 to 7 days from the onset of symptoms. Spectators. We are not limiting spectators, not limiting the amount of spectators that we have at our home contest. We are also going to return to charging admission, and we are going to continue with live streaming most of our events, the ones that we are able to. Please note, other schools may not have the same guidelines as us. I was at a conference athletic directors meeting this past week, and I can tell you right now, some of the schools, especially within Milwaukee County, they are talking about limiting spectators. They are talking about wearing masks, maybe not necessarily for the participants. For example, in volleyball, maybe the actual people, girls or boys on the court don't have to wear masks, but if you're sitting on the bench and spectators, you might be required to wear masks. Of course, I will communicate the expectations of the school that we are going to play at ahead of time. But just be aware, not all schools are going to have the same guidelines as us. All right, so we do this so that we can keep opportunities alive for our kids. The Athletics and Activities Program is the #1 behavior intervention and dropout prevention program in the country. We know that these opportunities that we provide, kids have a better high school experience when they're connected. Kids have better mental health when they can exercise, socialize, connect, and grow. And as I showed before, students who are connected, whether athletics, activities, whatever it may be, if they're connected to their high school experience, they have a better opportunity to succeed as a student. That's why we have to keep these things going. That's why we might have some mitigation, some protocols, some guidelines, is so that we can keep these opportunities alive for our kids because we know how beneficial they are for our kids. Speaking of some of those benefits, we are an education-based athletic program. That's what we're designed to do. Provide positive, enjoyable experiences, encourage team commitment, develop character, sportsmanship, work ethic, leadership. What I tell a lot of people is that winning is a goal, okay? The goal of sports might be to win, but it's not the purpose. The purpose of high school education-based athletics is much more than just winning. When you look at the outcomes of education-based athletics, these are all things that we want our kids to leave high school with, right? We want them to be good people. We want them to be good human beings. We want them to be productive citizens in our community. We want them to have these outcomes. You may have seen it around school, but these are our athletic core principles. We want our athletes to acquire the skills when they leave our programs to compete, to commit, to contribute, to care, and to connect. And when you think about it, if our kids can do some of those things that are highlighted in red over there, when they can do those things and they can master some of those skills, the winning's going to come. The winning will be the easy part. But more importantly, we want our athletes to leave our program, again, being good human beings, being productive citizens, and having these skills, because these skills are what's going to make them succeed in life. We really hold this dear as coaches. So let's talk about some athletic expectations. Roles. I firmly believe that there are only 4 roles in athletics, and at any given time, you can be no more than one of those roles. Either you're an athlete, a coach, a fan, or an official. At any time, you can never be 2 of those or 3 of those. Okay, our athletes are there to compete as athletes. Our coaches are there to coach those athletes. Our fans are there to spectate, to cheer on their kids. And officials are there to keep the structure of the game alive. Lines of communication. If there's an issue with your child in their athletic program, the first line of communication should always be athlete to coach. Self-advocacy is one of those skills that we want our kids to leave our programs with. We want them to be able to speak up for themselves. We want them to be able to address an authority figure. We want our kids to be able to advocate for themselves. So the lines of communication, the first one is always going to be athlete to coach. The second one, if the issue still isn't resolved, I recommend that the parent communicate and contact the coach and set up a meeting and say, hey, can we talk about this issue? We have something going on. I also recommend that the athlete be present at that meeting. Sometimes information is lost in translation. Okay, everybody should be at the table. And if the issue still isn't resolved after step 2, by all means, please contact me and I will help moderate a meeting so that we can find the best outcome possible. So what's appropriate to discuss with coaches? Ways you can provide support, ways to help your student athlete improve, and concerns about your student athlete's behavior. Things that are inappropriate to discuss. Playing time, team strategy, game planning, or issues related to other people's children. I said it earlier at the beginning, we are all on the same team. We are all working in the same direction. We all want the same thing for our kids and our programs. But really, I really truly believe that each of us belongs in one of these pillars. And we need all 3 pillars working in unity to achieve success. Again, we are all on the same team. We are all Pirates. Everybody in here is on the same team, working for the same goal. So let's talk about those different pillars. For the parents, your role on the team is support. Support your child, support the team. Role model positive character, sportsmanship, work ethic, and leadership. If you read this quote real quick, if a kid thinks that he has to win to make his parents proud of him, that's a ton of pressure. In my opinion, that is the greatest pressure in the world, especially for a kid. A parent not being proud of you is far more frightening than the scariest opponent. Parents, I'm telling you right now, whether you intend to or not, there's some sort of pressure that's given off onto your student athlete. Support is the biggest thing that you can do. In all my years of high school athletics and some college athletics, I've never seen this happen, right? Okay? So please be aware of your actions in the stands. Again, support should be your primary role. If you look at some of the ways to be a superpower sports parent, number 1 is that praise and encouragement. I can tell you right now, studies throughout youth sports always say that the number 1 reason kids go out for sports and activities is to have fun. That's the number 1 activity, or number 1 reason. The biggest thing that students fear in their athletic experience, car ride home and the dinner table conversation. Those are the 2 things that always come up as the top 2 things that kids fear in sports. Support. That's the biggest thing that you can do to help us in that direction. Parents, we absolutely need you. You're part of this team. You're part of our program, and we absolutely need you to make our goals accomplished. Athletes, your role is to dedicate yourself. Dedicate yourself to the team and its goals. Dedicate yourself to demonstrating positive character on and off the field. And dedicate yourself to being the best version of yourself that you can be. One of my favorite quotes, there are two pains in life, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Please, I'm urging you student athletes that are here tonight, the 4 years that you have in high school and seniors, you can probably attest to this, go by like that. You have a limited amount of time. You have a limited window, students. Give it your all. Dedicate yourself. Okay? Make this the best version of yourself that you can be. And then that last pillar is the school pillar, the coaches, the administration. Our role is to provide those experiences for our students. Provide a team concept. Provide opportunities to gain those outcomes that I talked about earlier. And to provide that opportunity for our athletes to improve and compete at their highest level. Again, we're all on the same team. We all have a shared responsibility in our program to be successful. We all need to be working in the same direction. Sportsmanship. So why is sportsmanship such a big deal? First and foremost, it's the right thing to do, right? It's a visible symbol of who we are. We represent Pewaukee. We represent this community. We represent the school. We represent yourselves, your families, okay? Sportsmanship is the right thing to do. We want to be known as an athletic program, as a school. We want to be known as somebody who fiercely competes, but does it in a classy, respectful manner. One of the things I started telling some coaches and some athletes last spring is I want us to have a culture for our programs to be a program that other people fear to play. We don't want to play Pewaukee. They're good, okay? But we also want them to want to be us, right? We want to be someone who's going to come out and fiercely compete and give it our all. And man, they play hard. They do everything right. But man, I really want to be on that team. I want to be Pewaukee. So really, that's the essence of the culture that I'm really wanting to work for. Somebody who people fear, but somebody who they want to be. Remember, you are always representing something bigger than yourself. You're representing PHS, Pewaukee Athletics, the community, the team, your family, and so on. Speaking of sportsmanship, I have just 2 announcements and then I'm going to be done. Speaking of sportsmanship, we are bringing back Pirate Crew Fan Camp, okay? And we did this 2 falls ago and it turned out phenomenally. I don't think it could have gone any better. That was the best fall sports experience that I've ever been a part of. So we are going to bring this back. We're looking at Thursday, August 19th, and a communication email will be sent home to everybody in our school. But we'll have it in the new bleachers on the football field. We're going to have our cheerleaders. They don't know this yet, so they're just finding out. So they are going to help perform. We're going to have our school song played and learn our school song because we've started a tradition now that every time our football team scores a touchdown or scores a field goal, our school song comes on, and we want, obviously, everybody to sing it. We do have a really large, over-ordered banner in the gym that has the lyrics to our school song for those indoor events to help everybody along. We just need help kind of getting the train rolling. So we got Pirate Crew Fan Camp happening on August 19th. Again, more information will be coming. Free pizza and free t-shirts for all the students that are there. Finally, last but not least, I'm really excited about this. This is kind of a serious note to end on, but I think it's, again, a great opportunity for everyone in here. So for those of you that aren't aware, last winter season, there was an athlete from a school in our conference who collapsed on the basketball court. Ended up having a heart defect that was undetected. He had to be revived twice on the court. Luckily, there were nurses in the stands who came down and rushed and gave this student athlete the much needed CPR where he could survive, and he did survive. Along with that, right around the same time period, there was a well-known basketball official in the state of Wisconsin who also collapsed on the court, and unfortunately, he did not survive. Whether you know it or not, about 4 years ago, we had one of our very own student athletes pass away in his sleep from a heart condition. This is a serious thing. And I've teamed up with the Waukesha Schools, the Max Shevitz Foundation, and the Kai Lermer Memorial Foundation. They are doing EKG screenings in Waukesha. It's only for the Waukesha schools in Pewaukee. If you have a phone in your pocket and you are interested in this, please take a picture of this information of this slide and the next slide so you have information. But basically, it's only $20. $20, it's a 15-minute appointment. You go in and you get a free, well, not free, a $20 EKG screening that might help detect an unknown heart condition. So again, here's some information, and then does everybody have that? See a couple phones still up. Again, this is some more information. This one has Monday, it's August 23rd. The schools of Waukesha plus us, $20, 15-minute appointment. You need to have an appointment. Walk-ins are not accepted. And it's being held at the Fox River Christian Church, which is 1721 Northview Road in Waukesha, the southeast corner of Grandview and Northview. So by all means, it's your decision. It's up to you. But what a resource. What a resource. On that previous slide, the Max Shevitz Foundation has done, what they say, 100,000 screens. So about 100,000 tests, and 925 came back for further referral. So just a good thing to offer our kids to make sure that they are as safe as possible. All right, 45 minutes, 67 slides, we did it. All right, so thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to put up a slide right now. Now, please, don't everybody get up. Let me announce some of the things on where everybody is going. So football, if you are a football parent or student athlete, you are staying right here in the auditorium. Boys soccer, you are going to the Aux gym. Cross country, you are upstairs in the Learning Commons. Girls swim, you are upstairs in room 207. Girls tennis, you are upstairs in room 200. Girls volleyball, upstairs in the library. And boys volleyball, right off the Learning Commons in the large group room. Not meeting tonight, Palms, you've already had your parent meeting. Cheer, you've already had your parent meeting. And girls golf, a video was sent today. If you're in girls golf and you did not receive that video, and maybe you're new, you haven't signed up yet, please come see me so I can take down your name and give it to Coach Scannell. With that, thank you for coming tonight. Let's have a great fall season, and go Pirates.
My dog is John.
Thanks.